This is lesson 6.5, quadrangles, and this is a parent help video for everyday math, grade 3. So first we're going to talk about a few vocabulary words in this lesson. There are a number of them that have to do with quadrangles, and the first one that we're actually going to talk about is a quadrangle. And a quadrangle is a polygon that has 4 sides. Okay, it says right here, a quadrangle is a polygon that has 4 sides. A polygon is basically a shape. Okay, and another name for a quadrangle is quadrilateral. So you may have heard that before. The prefix quad means 4. So all quadrangles have 4 sides, 4 vertices, okay, which we talked about before as being corners, and 4 angles. So, and here's an example of a quadrangle right here. The next word that we're going to talk about is square. Okay, and a square, here's an example of a square right here. It has 4 equal sides and it has 4 equal angles. So all of these sides are the same length and all of these angles are equal, and they're 90-degree angles. So they all, you can make corners right out of all of them. Okay, the next word that we're going to talk about is rhombus. And for a rhombus, you see right here, zoom out a little bit. There's some definitions. Rhombuses are parallelograms. Their 4 sides are all the same length. Okay, so this is the definition of a rhombus. Here's actually a picture of a square for you to take a look at too, if you'd like to. And then parallelogram. So here's, we're going to talk about parallelograms next. So there's a lot of words for this one. Oops, it gives you some examples of parallelograms here. So these quadrangles are called parallelograms. And reminder, 2 sides are parallel if they are parts of lines, that are parallel or never cross. So you can see in these shapes here, they have sides that are parallel. So they have 2 sides that are parallel. Okay, and these ones have also the other 2 sides also parallel to each other. Okay, so all of these are parallelograms. This book actually gives us some examples of figures that are not parallelograms too. And this is page 108 actually in the student reference book for grade 3 everyday math. So this doesn't have any parallel sides. Here it has no parallel sides, so it's not a parallelogram. Here only has 1 pair of parallel sides. These are not parallel, so it's not a parallelogram. This has 3 pairs of parallel sides, but a parallelogram has to have 4 sides. So this is also not a parallelogram. So you can look at the examples here. These parallelograms have 4 sides, and both sides are parallel. Alright, and that's going to be a parallelogram. Then we have a rectangle right here. And if you want to take a look, it says rectangles are parallelograms. They have 4 right angles. Okay, so you can see, just like the square, they have 4 right angles. And the sides of a rectangle do not all have to be the same length. So these 2 sides have to be the same length, and these 2 sides have to be the same length. But unlike a square, where we have all 4 sides the same length, these ones don't need to be the same length. They can be different lengths. Next we have what we call adjacent sides. And adjacent sides, right here, adjacent sides are basically sides that are next to each other. So if I were to draw a picture here of adjacent sides, these 2 sides are going to be adjacent. And they meet at the vertex, or the corner. So if I make this side A and this side B, side A and side B are adjacent because they're next to each other and they have a corner or a vertex in between them. And then lastly, we're going to talk about kites. And a kite is a quadrangle that has 2 pairs of equal adjacent sides and opposite sides that are not equal. So if you look down here, you can see right here. Here's a kite. This is a kite. These are kites. 4-sided polygons, 2 pairs of equal sides. The equal sides are next to each other, and their 4 sides cannot all be the same length. So a rhombus is not a kite because all 4 sides of the rhombus are the same length. So that's there's an example of a rhombus up here for you to see. So you see 2 sides of the kite are equal length, and then the other two sides are equal length, but they're different lengths from each other, whereas a rhombus, all four sides are an equal length. It looks like somebody just squashed the top of it. So those are some kind of tricky vocabulary words that we have when we talk about quadrangles. Now, as far as what we want the kids to know, of course we want them to know what each of these words means. We also want them to be able to identify right angles. Okay, so if we talk about this shape here that I've drawn with adjacent sides, this rectangle, we want them to be able to identify the right angles in here, find those, and be able to draw them just by putting a square in each corner where the right angle is. And we also want them to be able to name the quadrangles. So if we have a set of points like this, okay, and let's say we have point E, F, G, and H, okay, we want the kids to be able to connect these points together with line segments in between there. And to be able to tell us, this point should probably be over a little bit more. Get rid of that one. This will be point H. That this is, they can make the quadrangle. We want them to be able to do that. And then we want them to say, well, this is quadrangle E, F, G, H. Okay, we want them to be able to label it as quadrangle E, F, G, H with those letter names. And as long as the letter names go in the right order, they can actually start with any letter when they do it. It could also be quadrangle H, G, E, F. It's taking each of these line segments and following it around till it gets back to the letter where you started. So we want the kids to be able to say the names of the quadrangle, E, F, G, H, H, G, E, F. It could also be G, E, F, H, or F, H, G, E. Any of those would be fine. We want them to be able to compare quadrangles. We want them to be able to identify where the sides are, where the vertices are. So remember, vertice is the plural of vertex. So, for example, these are the vertices. All right, and the vertices are the corners. Okay, the vertices are the corners. All right, and then we want them to be able to find those, and also the adjacent sides. So if I ask which sides are adjacent, I want the student to be able to tell me, well, this side and this side are adjacent. Okay, or side GE is adjacent to side EF. Okay, just talking about adjacent. Adjacent meaning the side. Okay. And we want them to be able to measure the sides of the quadrangle. So after they've drawn it, we want them to be able to take a ruler and say, well, this quadrangle is about, this one's about an inch and a quarter, so they could say an inch and an eighth. So they could say an inch, that'd be fine. Or they could round up to an inch and a quarter. They could also measure it in centimeters. Okay, this one's almost 3 centimeters. Okay, so they could round that and be able to measure each side and talk about it. As far as how you guys can help at home, just talk about what the shapes of different things. Talk about, do you see any of these sorts of shapes in your house? Have the kids go find a quadrangle or a square or a rhombus or a parallelogram or a rectangle or a trapezoid or a kite. Just talk about what the different shapes of things are, how they're different from each other, how they're different from other shapes. You can talk about using these new vocabulary words. Use this word adjacent. Instead of saying beside, try using the word adjacent instead. Just sort of throw it into your everyday conversation and see what creative words you can, creative sentences you can come up with. Just have some fun with it. Have the kids have fun with it. You could even have them draw each of these shapes, and just so you can have another look at the reference book. It's right here for you to take another look at. Feel free to pause right here and see what's on these pages to help you out with that. Again, this is the student reference book, page 108 and 109 for grade 3 everyday math. So this was unit 6.5, quadrangles. And we'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. Unit 6.5 quadrangles, and I hope this helps you out just a little bit. Thank you.